the real news continues to be an endless cycle of misery, despair,
and financial stories we do not understand.
We're here to bring you some of the stranger,
Funnier,
sillier,
weirder,
sexier,
drunker,
animal,
old woman,
vegetable,
a guy from the RSPCA who was called out to what he thought was a distressed cow but was actually an old bath.
Stories you might have missed on both sides of the pond.
By which we mean the Atlantic Ocean, one of the world's 5 biggest ponds.
This is the News Where They Are podcast.
It's time for the news where you are.
Time for the news where you are. It's time for the news where you are.
It's time for all the news where you are.
The News Where They Are. Jesus.
Hello and welcome, one and... Well, I won't say all because there's only one of you anyway. But thank you very much for listening to the News Where They Are podcast. You know what it's about now. And if you don't, stick around. My name is Dan. I'm a Welsh human living in Wales. But I'm joined by a man called Jack, who is Welsh, but he's a traitor. And so he's living in America. Hello, Jack.
Living in America illegally. No, I'm not. Honestly, not living here illegally.
Maybe something about the healthcare situation. But apart from that, all above board. Yeah, I suppose we should say for new listeners, if this is your first one, the last one we had guests on. We don't always do that, so don't come here expecting guests all the time. But we did have 2 very lovely guests on last time, and that seems to have brought to us some new listeners and some other people you could use other phrases to describe.
Yeah. I'll let you decide with this feedback. So this is from Anonymous, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Great name.
I have just finished to listen this episode of podcasts with Pinder Picks, Lucy Pinder, and Beth Granville. And here is my evaluation for it. This brand has been a beautiful and enjoyable discovery. And in my opinion, the title of this episode should be Appointment with the Craziness. For which reason? Because for me, every time there is something with Pinder Picks and Beth Granville, it's sure that there will be many laughters. But also, actual Jack, that's me, and his partner in crime, Dankis, that's you, fend very well. The theme song is pleasant and succeeds to give the little break that needs to the introduction of various arguments of the episode. Maybe the only defect that I have found is the overlap of the voices in one point of the episode, but it has been an isolated case. For the rest, in its complex, is funny and pleasant. Then, my valuation for this episode is 8. Dear Actual Jack and @DanKiss, I wish the best for the future, and I hope that I can listen also the other episodes. Wink emoji.
Well, that wink emoji clearly says, I will never listen to another episode. Thank you very much for I'm glad we're getting an appraisal on our podcast.
It's about time.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it was some nice things in that, but it was the message was basically, the guest's great. Also, the podcast was bearable.
Also, I hope that I can listen also. What do you mean you hope? You've just done it now. Do it again.
Yeah, you're in the right place. Just keep listening.
What are you hoping for? It's there. All that's to be said is that if you did have some feedback from last week that does not involve Lucy Pinder, please get in touch.
That'd be great. And if you could give us a score as well. Anyway, and what was the other thing that he was picking up on was that he didn't enjoy the fact that at some points we talked over each other at the same time.
Yeah, he said that. He said that. I think that what
load
to
of
me,
nonsense. I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know when we've ever done that.
Why are you saying that? I don't know.
To be honest,
wasted his time. He's really ruined the podcast for me.
I think, I know it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. What my thing is that like when podcasts do it, it's annoying, but we don't do it.
They do it. No, I've never heard us do it once.
So Dan, they say blood is thicker than water. I don't know who says that.
I don't know where they got that idea from. It's fucking not. Exactly the same.
If you like my blood, no platelets.
If your blood's thicker than water, go see a doctor.
Well, Sometimes that can be true.
Okay.
Which is what a family in Iowa discovered this month when they discovered their basement filled with 5 inches of blood.
Oh, God. We forgot to take the corpses out of the freezer again. That doesn't make sense. Surely they've taken the corpses out of the freezer to defrost ready for the next day. And it's all gone wrong. I retract my first quip. Poor quip.
Pork whip.
Pork whip.
Pork whip. And that's what they found in the basement. Nick Listina made a frightening discovery at his home earlier this month in Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines. 5 inches of animal blood, fat, and tissue from a neighboring meat locker had seeped into the basement through a floor drain, creating a scene worthy of a Halloween movie.
Meat locker.
Yeah, I know.
That film about legs of lamb trying to defuse bombs in Iraq and Iran. Not Iran, Iraq.
Great callback to the locker. Forgot about that movie. No, meat lockers. Yeah, that's something very different in circles I know, homosexual circles.
Of course. You and your homosexual circles, Jack.
Some things you just think you'll never see, said Nick, after discovering the floor of blood. Fair enough. The father of 5 has lived next door to Dahl's Custom Meat Locker. Okay, hang on. Before I continue. Custom Meat Locker. What do you mean?
Yeah, what differentiates you from other meat lockers?
This is custom meat. What is custom meat? Why are you making it sound like it's humans?
The next door is just a general meat locker. You know, if you've got any sort of meat, we'll lock it for you. But this one, we do a bespoke meat locking service.
So he's lived next to the custom meat locker for 10 years. He said there's never been a problem until this month when he stopped home to pick up a power drill and noticed that...
Was there a joke on the bottom of it?
When he noticed his sump pump spewing red liquid. 2 weeks on, the blood is still seeping into the basement, and he's had to move away.
What happened? Why didn't he just stop it? Can't he switch it off?
Well, so it's basically it's too deep, Dan. There's no way to.
It's too deep.
It's too deep. I've had a company come out for cleaning and sanitizing, but they can't start the process until it starts coming out of the drain.
How deep is your blood? Your blood. How deep is your blood?
The unfinished basement is being mostly used for storing holiday decorations and a couple of children's beds. What?
Welcome to Christmas in hell.
Hello, children. Here are your beds. Nick called in an investigator to find the source of the biowaste. I wonder where it was coming from, which he traced to the meat locker.
I've got blood pouring into my house. Well, on next door, you've got Mrs. Smith. It could be her. She is 84. I'm a bit mad. Well, on the other side, there's a meat locker. I'll go check what Mrs. Smith is doing.
Well, I mean, Dan, I'm sorry. This is incredible. So he said that the owner, Caitlin Dahl, Mrs. Dahl, showed him the kill room where she had flushed blood down the drains after killing multiple hogs and cattle. Cool. But
sorry, can I just pick up on the fact, like, imagine just having a room that you call the kill room. You'd think, like, you look at, like, Amazon, you know, they're warehouses. They don't call them, like, 21st century workhouses. They call them fulfillment centers, which is obviously their way of coming up with, like, a way of covering the fact you're going to work 18 hours a day and never see your family. But I'm amazed that they've just gone, it's a room where we kill stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, the kill room. Not thinking, like, you know, finalization hall Or, I don't know, something that like softens the blow a bit. Like, would you like to see our processing area?
Processing
Something
area, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll show you the kill room. It's where we kill everything. It's covered in blood. It's probably coming from there, mate. I'll show you the murder suite. Come on, come in here.
Not convinced, the investigator dropped fluorescent dye in the kill room drain, and then 10 minutes later, the dye appeared in Nick's basement. So he confirmed that the blood was coming from the kill room.
It's so funny. Oh, I don't see how it could be our blood. Well, there's a lot of blood seeping into next door. Well, that could be coming from anywhere. Man left fuming after fellow commuter's bum ends up as his view for the entire train ride.
Sure.
So a man has described how he was left fuming after a fellow commuter plonked himself down on the train table in front of him instead of taking a seat, meaning the other man's bum was very close to his face. Define very.
Yeah. Yes.
He said, Paul Newhart branded the rail passenger crass and a bit inconsiderate, following the incident, saying he didn't ask for permission or say thank you for letting him sit on the table. So Paul, the 57-year-old operations manager from Tadworth in Surrey, was on his morning journey to London at the time and claims there was a number of proper seats available during the half-hour ride.
No,
Speaking
impossible.
about the experience, Paul said, I thought it was both crass and inconsiderate. Yeah, he said that. It was very egocentric and very self-centered on his part, particularly when he sat down, the thing visibly bent, which is, what a dig.
What?
What a dig. Well, it actually bent when he sat down. I'm not surprised the headline didn't say, man furious at fat arse. Paul said, not only was he doing this rather rudely and inconsiderately, he was potentially causing damage to the table. Oh no, not damage to the table. Where will my boot meal deal rest now?
I've seen those tables on those trains, already damaged.
Yeah, exactly. Those tables saw better days the day they were installed.
So true, pathetic.
Paul says it's not uncommon for someone to get on as the train starts to crowd up and just plop down and use that table right in front of people as a seat. What are you moaning about then, Paul?
Yeah, you've just described what happens daily.
Yeah, also, any train to London, I think anyone on the planet could guess, is not a spare seat. Even though
Never.
He says this particular one I thought was particularly egregious because there was empty seats on the train. Like one next to the driver.
The floor is not seats.
Anyway, what do you think Paul did about it?
I bet he was very gracious and just he was very British about it and said nothing and then complained afterwards.
Ding, 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 ding. 1 million points.
Yes!
Paul says he didn't say anything to the commuter in question, but simply sat there and fumed and took a picture of his backside on the table.
Sake. God. Also, I'm sorry. How has this become a story?
Well, guess where he put that photo of the backside?
Okay.
On social media, because Paul's not going to give up his chance to get. Wait, how many did he get? 200 people commenting on the story that he posted on social media with the photo of the guy's ass. So he's just sat there stewing in his little seat, looking at this bum. He later uploaded the image to social media, writing, "No, really, have a seat. I don't mind having your bum as my view for the rest of the train ride. By all means, have a seat on the table," which is actually very kind of Paul, because it sounded like it did bother him, but he's very kindly and very graciously claiming it didn't bother him.
Yeah.
Because he wanted everyone to know, if you've got a bum that needs a table, I'm your man. The bit you tweeted is the bit you meant to say out loud, not the bit you tweet to other people. No one's tracked down the bum, the offending arse. But a few people commented. There was one comment that caught my eye, and I quote, "I would have loved it because I'm gay, but depends if he was fit, winky smiley." And that was
Ew.
from a commentator called Gay Guy 1986. Now, I don't know about you, Jack. I got a feeling this guy might be gay.
That wasn't his name.
Gay Guy, I'm not joking. Gay Guy 1986 said, I would have loved it because I'm gay, but depends if he's fit. And the fact that they've had to spell out being gay so much makes me think this is actually like some retired old woman who's just a bit bored during the breaks on This Morning, so masquerades as a gay man in the comment sections on newspapers. Because a very serious life, and she can just be a bit of a flamboyant gay man for likes. Although I say for likes, the only response that the comment got was from a gentleman who's used his actual face for the photo, who's Mole111, who replied, Bender, and that got 2 likes.
Oh my God! For
Well done,
sake.
Internet, you've done it again. I'd like to teach the world to sing. That's the first thing that came into my head when I saw this comment. So I've just sent Jack the image of the offending arse.
Not about us.
No.
Shapely.
One I think a gay man would comment upon saying, I'd like it because I'm gay. Gay man 1986.
I was that commenter.
Yeah. You and your homosexual circles. Ask around, see if you can find out who Gay Man 1986 is. You all know each other, don't you? You're all on email.
Gmail. Gay mail.
Gmail. Gay mail, very nice.
What an arse, what a story. Drunk Santa arrested in California after police found him in car.
And out of season too.
Right.
It's Halloween.
Yeah. That's the most offensive thing here.
It might be climate change why he's coming out earlier. Is the season's getting warmer, and so Father Christmas is coming out earlier and earlier every year. Like polar bears coming south to find food. That's what he's done.
That's what the police arrested him. They were so offended that his egregious show up in October happened. Christmas came early for one California man dubbed Drunk Santa. Cool. Like original name, guys.
Well, surely Sozzled Santa had quite a bit of alliteration in there.
Ho ho hops. No, it doesn't work.
Slayed off his tits.
Dubbed the Drunk Santa, and he is most definitely on local law enforcement's naughty list. Brea police arrested the festive and apparently impatient man
Father Christmas, please, respect.
after they found him inside his car at around 7 a.m. Okay, here's the thing. He's in his car. Also,
arrest him out of his own car. We're arresting you out of your own car for being festive out of season.
the man, again, Santa, who has not been identified by authorities, appeared to be under
Yes,
the
he
influence.
has. Santa. Father Christmas. What do you mean he hasn't been identified? He's the most identifiable man on the planet.
But there was a twist. You know that Santa usually receives a lot of letters from children?
Sorry. I thought that was rhetorical, but there was a big gap. So, yes, Jack, I do.
Thank you. Well, Twist, was the one who sent a letter this time. So police shared his drunk letter. It said, Dear Santa, confusing. I'm sorry I stole your red suit. I was drunk and made some poor choices. I know it's only October and it's very hot. Too hot for this suit, but I was drunk. Poor choices. Sincerely, Drunk Santa.
So this is his attempt to, sweet talk the police into not sticking him in jail by going, what if I write an amusing letter?
Yeah, pretty much.
God.
Police said it was not going to be clear if any repercussions would include a lump of coal. Shut up.
A man grounded flights at a Portuguese airport after taking stolen cardboard Cliff Richard on plane.
Yes, Cliff.
So a British bowls club tried to fly home with Sir Cliff Richard's cardboard counterpart, but Portuguese officials failed to see the funny side. I mean, obviously, the first thing you think of is we're not going on a summer holiday. I mean, imagine how the other passengers felt, right? Got myself a grounded, held up, jam-packed, late now, livid plane. So, planes were grounded at an airport in Portugal after a man smuggled a cardboard cutout of a Cliff Richard onto his flight back home. Jeff Narroway hoped to take the printout of Sir Cliff to his local bowls club and set him up at the bar. Also, to begin with, Mr. Narroway sounds like a Dickensian character who lives on a canal boat.
Yeah.
But he looks like my worst nightmare. This man doesn't have a beer belly. He has a banter belly. He spent years and years guzzling on the joy of calling all your friends gay and trying to pull their trousers down.
He looks like Jay's dad from The Inbetweeners.
Mixed with Greg Wallace.
Oh, God.
Mixed with every man who's ever said, "Why is that racist? Why?"
Say that it is. Say it like it is.
Maybe we're being a bit harsh on Mr. Narroway. He just looks like a massive racist. So he carried it onto the plane after a fellow Bowls Club member pinched it. Oh, he's also from Ramsgate in Kent, so the racist thing is really tallying up.
Yeah.
So he carried the life-size figure onto his flight at Faro Airport after a fellow member of St. Lawrence Bowls team in Ramsgate, Kent, pinched the cutout from duty-free. Why has a Portuguese duty-free got a Cliff Richard talking about? What are they selling in Portuguese duty-frees that's got a Cliff?
Such a great question. Where
Unless
was
they had
that?
a big stall of mistletoe and wine, there's no reason to have a cut-out Cliff.
Cut-out Cliff.
So the group stole the item because a member of their club looks like the iconic singer.
Which one? Because it sure ain't
I don't
Mr.
know.
Narrowboat.
No. Mr. Narroway, said, "I was amazed we brought the airport to a stop. Absolutely and totally amazed. We were out bowling in Portugal, having a good time, when on the way home we saw Sir Cliff in duty-free. Sir Cliff, nice touch. Very respectful. He came with us for a drink in the bar. And when it was time to go, I folded him up and walked him through." That's how the real Sir Cliff travels as well. He has an assistant who just folds him up and shoves him in the plane. We got on the plane and I put him in the overhead locker. So exactly the same as the real Sir Cliff. However, passengers on Mr. Narroway's flight were reportedly told that all of the airport's planes were grounded until the item was returned.
Wait,
Cliff
all
Richard
of the
is
planes?
Yeah, all the planes in the airport. Cliff is obviously charging them an absolute fortune for him to sponsor their wine. The pilot on the bowler's plane pledged that there would be no consequences if Sir Cliff was returned immediately. Please, we just want our Cliff back. We want him back.
God.
Safe. He immediately removed the cutout from his overhead locker and dropped it off at the cockpit. Mr. Narroway said the cabin crew were in fits of giggles, while the pilot shook his hand and told him it was the funniest moment of his career. A career which I presume started about a minute before Mr. Narroway handed him the Cliff Richard.
Dan, stay there. One of us is about to chat shit to someone somewhere to give us some money, kind of.
Great story, Dan. Now, have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When we were trying to get this podcast off the ground, we had a lot of questions. How do we record an episode? How do we get the show into all those apps that people like to listen to? Most importantly, how do we actually make money from this podcast? How do we get that dollar? Or pound, because British. The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And it is 100% free and easy to use. I still don't understand how both of those things collaborate. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. Wait a minute. The reason me and Dan use Anchor is because we record from different countries. We use the app Anchor to kind of talk to each other across the pond. So it makes it super simple. We both log in And voila, we've made a podcast thousands of miles away from each other. So if you've always wanted to do something like that and start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and Dan and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. We're pretty excited to hear all the other podcasts, as long as they're not about news, because that's ours.
Welcome back to you, Jack, and everyone else.
And now for the news, where other people are.
Well then, Jack, that was great.
Dan, we might touch the sides of the US and the UK, but you know, a place that we don't even look at, we don't even care about, we hate, I'd say, the world.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, sorry, I was going to say Shrewsbury, but yeah, go on.
I guess we can chuck in some time to throw some stories, throw some light on the shitty stories of the rest of the world.
So. I guess, why not? Okay, world, here's your chance. Impress us. Let's go to Germany, where a golden retriever has given birth to a green puppy, now called Mojito.
Wow, okay. A green puppy.
Green puppy. Green puppy.
Over in Oz, a girl left looking like alien after bath bomb stains her and the bathroom green.
Bloody hell.
Put another alien on the Barbie. Mum Carey bought the bath bomb kit for holiday fun, but it quickly went downhill.
Is the girl alive? Have you read all the way through this article? Is this one of Jack's classic?
She's dead now.
Okay.
No. Let's have a look. Scan.
Control F, dead. So this is from Zimbabwe, and the headline is a quote from the man the story is about, which says, "I was swallowed by an angry hippo."
Isn't it hungry hippo?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Getting your finger stuck, trapped in a game, is not being swallowed, mate.
Finally, from me, highly aggressive cow leads police on a chase in Germany. Mum, can you stop going to Germany, please?
Highly aggressive cow, yeah. Can I speak to your manager, please? Here's my final story.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our old friend, China.
Yay!
So, just pay attention here. Hitman hires hitman who hires hitman who hires hitman who hires hitman who tells police. So, 5 hitmen have been jailed for attempted murder after each one avoided carrying out the contract themselves so they could make a profit. Chinese businessman Tan Yo-hee was looking for a hitman to take out a competitor, Wei Mo, and was willing to pay 2 million yen, or yuan, yuan. I don't know if it's a different currency for a different part of China. £218,000 he was willing to pay to get the job done. But the hitman that Mr. Yu-hee hired decided to offer the job to another hitman for half the original price. The second hitman then subcontracted to another hitman, who then subcontracted to a fourth, who gave the job to a fifth. However, hitman number 5 was so incensed at how much the value of the contract had fallen that he told the target to fake his own death, which eventually led to the police finding out about the plot, Beijing News reports. It's basically very much the Russian doll of Chinese hitmen.
Wow. And no one died?
No one died, because they all were just like, well, I'm not actually going to kill him, but I will take the money for it. It's like the sort of the most high-risk version of the £1 million drop ever. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to bet on hitman number 4.
I always knew Davina had a mean streak. Dan, the news. I'm thoroughly sated. Sated?
We've said this exact thing before.
Oh, we have,
the news has been quenched.
The news has been snaffled up.
The news has been passed on to too many hitmen, and now we've run out of news. It's been diluted down by 5 different hitmen.
So, if you've been waiting for Lucy Pinder long and hard, here is that moment. Hope you enjoy it.
They'd gone through the bin.
Keep musing.
You're joking.